Hi, my name is Trent Bates. I'm the Product Marketing Manager for the PowerEdge I Aggregator product. And I'm here today to talk about converged infrastructure. And specifically, I'm going to talk about Converged I/O. And when I say Converged I/O, I mean LAN traffic and SAN traffic going over the same wire or over the same device. And so I'm going to talk about two particular deployments, one for fiber channel over Ethernet and one for converged iSCSI. So it's going to be iSCSI and Ethernet traffic going over the same devices. The first topology or deployment I'm going to talk about is FCoE, or fiber channel over Ethernet. So the I/O aggregator is meant to be managed by the server admin, and we pre-configure and automate the device for ease of use. So for fiber channel over Ethernet, as long as the top of rack is configured properly, the aggregator will be a zero-touch FCoE deployment. So first you would connect up the products, the top of rack to the I/O aggregator. Now, the aggregator will automatically create a lag, or link aggregation group, going to the top of rack. The aggregator also has FCoE and DCB on by default, so the aggregator will accept the DCB settings from the top of rack, apply those settings to itself, then pass those settings to the adapters and the servers. And the server and the adapters will set up an FCoE session, and the aggregator will act as a FIP snooping bridge in between those two devices. So in this topology, there's FCoE traffic going from the adapters to the aggregator, and then the aggregator is passing that FCoE traffic up to the top of rack. And at the top of rack, that is where you're going to break out into your LAN and your SAN. So when you break out into SAN, you're going to maintain the two redundant fabrics that exist in a typical FC or fiber channel deployment. So this is going to be your SAN A on this side, and then it's going to be SAN B on the other side. SAN B. So if you look at the topology, the aggregators maintain this SAN A on the left side, so this is totally separate, and this is SAN B on the right side. And so if there's a problem here, it'll fail over to your SAN B. And so that's a typical deployment or topology for FCoE for Dell converged infrastructure. So now I'm going to go over a typical deployment or topology for converged iSCSI. And when I say converged iSCSI, what I mean is there's going to be one network. There's going to be one network for your LAN traffic and for your iSCSI SAN traffic. Now for this deployment, we recommend that you have VLT going between the two top of rack switches. And when you have VLT between the two switches, that's going to appear as one switch from the aggregator. And so you can take one link up to this switch and then a redundant link to the next switch. A lag or link aggregation group will automatically form, and that provides you redundancy in case you lose one of the top of rack switches or aggregators. Now, the aggregator is pre-configured with jumbo frames, which is necessary for iSCSI traffic. It's also pre-configured with DCB, so that it'll automatically take the DCB settings from the top of rack, apply it to itself, and then pass those DCB settings on to the adapters. Now, in the case where you don't want to do converged iSCSI, where you want a separate network for your LAN traffic and a separate network for your iSCSI SAN traffic, in that case we recommend that you have pause frames enabled. Now, you can disable DCB and enable pause frames, but in an upcoming release, the aggregator will automatically be able to sense or detect whether it's converged iSCSI and non-converged iSCSI and set to DCB or set to pause frames without intervention from the user. And so this is a typical deployment for converged iSCSI for Dell converged or Dell converged solutions.